Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Football is Fixable Alright podcast. And the crew are back! The crew, just like... Wait.
The captain, yeah. The captain's back. Thank you very much.
It's like Captain Han Solo, I'm Luke Skywalker, and we've got Chewie. Dan, how are you?
Why?
Or is he Princess Leia? Which one would he?
Every time.
They're the trio, aren't they?
Something
we
offensive.
kiss in that case. We kiss
God.
at some point.
Oh no.
Wait. Oh yeah, you guys do. Yeah, you're brother and sister, aren't you?
We just spoiled Star Wars. Well done.
As we all agree as well, Luke is the most annoying character in all of Star Wars, isn't he?
He is the hero.
Definitely.
And Han Solo's
He's
cool.
your hero.
He's literally the hero of the... Alright, anyway. So, what's it like being back then, Sess? You missed us?
No, not really. I mean, I think I missed, Dan and I, we get along really well. We're on the same level playing field, aren't we? When it comes to this podcast, we look at it in the same way, where we fix football, because that's the whole reason for the podcast, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas James, on the other hand, he has this Arsenal bias, can't look past like, oh, Declan Rice, oh.
I don't see any
The
bias.
Invincibles.
Never. There's never any bias. The thing is, it's like when, subordinates, when they work under a manager and they're just, because they have no power, they get really kind of like, ugh. So they have to work together to kind of make themselves feel better. And when you two are together, that's what it feels like, that you have to gang up to match my power.
Right. So you're like the villain that brings us all together.
Yeah, there is that side to it. Yeah, I like to think of that as one of my roles. Yeah,
to be the villain.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Like Martin Keown, I suppose. Yeah,
leave Martin out of it.
The Everton
The
legend.
hero.
Yeah. Can I
The
bring you off
hero
the
this
post?
podcast deserves, but not the one it needs.
2 episodes in a row we bring that one up. Can I bring it in off the post?
Yeah, do it.
Right, so this week it's Man United off the post. As we know, new manager. Well, it's the interim manager at the moment.
Bring
isn't
it on.
With Darren Fletcher in charge.
Oh, yeah.
Darren Fletcher saying he wanted to get Alex Ferguson's blessing before he could take the role. And then
I like
loads of
that.
fans, and well, that's lovely, isn't it? Loads of fans in the comments after that, on the post on the BBC post, was saying, you kind of need to move on past Alex Ferguson now. So some of these posts, I'm sorry, but do people not realise football has moved past Alex Ferguson's tactics now? So some of these comments are based around that, right? He's 84. Let the man rest. It's not United DNA. It's the Alex Ferguson DNA you're talking about, and all that type of stuff. But my personal favourite was, I ring my old Tesco manager when I changed jobs as a 30-year-old bloke, out of respect. And there's my off the post.
I kind of feel as though it's fine to get his blessing.
Why do you need his blessing? Why do you have to?
Well, it's like Gary Neville still calling him the boss. I think
that's respect,
nice.
But he shouldn't have respect in your old boss if they did a lot for you. And in football, that's fine. I get it. But if you're taking on a new role and stuff, why do you need the blessing of a manager that left however many years ago?
If you are playing for Arsenal, say you got picked for Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
And then they said, you know what, you can have the number 10 shirt if you like. Would it not be nice for you to go, I'd like to have Dennis Bergkamp's blessing before I put it on?
Not really.
Yes, you would.
Such a
Look at
liar. You are such a liar.
Look at me.
You would, if you couldn't talk to him,
like,
you'd
how am I
probably
gonna get out of
pray
this
to
one?
his. Yeah, you'd probably pray to his image. You just like Google his image, and you'd be like, "Sir Dennis, would you do me the honour?"
I mean, yeah, I
100%.
want to pay respect and all that to Dennis, all that type of thing, but I wouldn't ask for his blessing. Why does that matter?
Absolutely would.
It's part
That's
of. I think the respect for like managers that have gone and for the history of the club beforehand has always been a part of the club, like forever. Like Sir Alex Ferguson has spoken to every manager that's been at the club since he's left, and they all speak to him and ask for his advice and stuff like that. I think it's perfectly normal. This is a player that he was like one of Alex Ferguson's players. He came through our academy. He's always seen him as the boss. I think it's perfectly
he's
normal.
like Fergie Light, isn't he?
Yeah, and I actually quite liked it. I thought it was nice. I thought it was a nice, like, in keeping with the club ethos and stuff. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Look, it's right. keeping people like a mentor figure and all that, I think that's good for all of us in life. If we have a mentor figure that helped us when we were younger and helped to bring us up and guided us, and staying in touch with those people, I think could be really helpful for a load of people. I think that's important. But if you're taking on a new job, you don't need to like this. I mean, one of the comments there was a comical kind of joke. But would you phone your old boss at Tesco because they were nice to you? And I just want to get your blessing when I take on a new manager.
Your old boss at Tesco isn't Sir Alex Ferguson at Man United, is it?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think for Darren Fletcher, the life-changing circumstances that Sir Alex Ferguson gave him is a little bit different to what Tesco offer you.
No, rubbish. Anyway, it's been an eventful last couple of weeks, really, isn't it? So we've had quite a lot of manager changing. So I suppose there's a lot of blessings having to be given at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you reckon Rosignol, how'd you say his name? For Chelsea,
Rosignol, isn't it?
Rosignol, it's been in the news about how they pronounce his name. Did he have to get Jose Mourinho's blessing? Do you think?
Jose Mourinho was there for 3 years at a time.
Yeah, no, and because Chelsea don't have anything like the same history as Man United do, so it's not the same thing. And Chelsea aren't a big club.
Did Rosignol play under Mourinho as well? Was there any connection between the two?
Okay, so Rosignol's old manager at his old clubs. Where was he? Hull City.
I wouldn't like to get blessing from Dennis Bergkamp. You see, this is the problem. This is what I say
rubbish.
about your biasness.
Getting a blessing to take on a role, just bloody rubbish.
You just hate Man United, don't you? This is what it is. Just bashing us for no reason.
Yeah.
Well, this week anyway, we're going to fix the merry-go-round. That is the whole manager move. Oh, there's a lot of M's.
That's a good thing. It's a good alliteration, isn't
it?
Yeah.
The moving manager merry-go-round. Let's get on and fix that, shall we, lads?
Let's do it.
Well, can I get your thoughts first of all, guys? What are your thoughts on... Should we do Chelsea first? Because Dan, I feel that he might go on a rant.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And Chelsea were the first ones with Enzo Maresca. He left his post.
True.
So what are your thoughts on that? Does that make sense to you guys?
No. For me, it doesn't, because Chelsea have expected them... They're a club, aren't they, of all clubs in the Premier League where they have a higher sense of their own purpose. United, heightened. So United, with their fans and all the former players, they constantly go on about, this is Manchester United, we should be up there and stuff. But that's because of the history.
Yeah,
They've kind of got a credible history for it. Yeah. Chelsea, their history pretty much started in 2005. I know they were thereabouts in the cup and stuff before that. I think in between 94 and 2000 they won a few cups and everything, but in essence they became a big club from 2005, so they haven't had a long history, and yet they've got this idea, well, we're not doing well, so we need to sack the manager, get someone in, and we're going to be at the top again. And they occasionally have this burst and then they start going down. So now I would say they're a club that they're deserving of, what is it, 6th or whatever it is when they sacked Maresca.
Yeah.
And so what they're saying is that we need to find a manager that'll get us higher than 6th, and I don't necessarily think they're deserving of that.
Apparently he wasn't sacked. Apparently he left. So I think for me the surprise is he didn't leave sooner. So from what I hear is it's a bit of a circus, and basically he's being told exactly what to do. There's even stories that he was told he had to play certain players in a game, and there were other people picking the team sheet, so he wasn't actually able to do his job. And so it got to a point where he was like, you know what, I can't work under these conditions, I'm gone. And actually,
which is fair enough.
Yeah, when you look at what apparently was going on, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did, and I'm surprised that another manager is anything like interested in getting the job.
That's
what I mean?
Probably this.
That's the biggest surprise.
Liam Rosignol being a young manager, it's obviously a big step in his career. I get the impression it might be because he'll be more willing to go along with the superiors kind of order. A yes man,
probably. Yeah.
I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to him. He speaks really well. He seems to have been, he's on a really good career trajectory at this point. He seems to be...
I think a lot of clubs are doing that now because they're wanting a lot more control than what a manager used to have.
Yeah.
Whereas a manager used to just go around saying, I bought this person, by the way, and the chairman will be like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Whereas now they're wanting so much control. And I think that's fair enough, because if you're going to have this merry-go-round, this is one of the problems, I would say. When you have a merry-go-round of managers, they get rid of Amorim, and then the next manager, do you give them 200 million for the next transfer window? Because then they'll suddenly start getting these players that the next manager might not like. You know, the new manager that they get in Chelsea might not like any of the players that have been bought.
Might not play the system that the manager likes to play.
Yeah, would you trust another manager with hundreds of millions? Ten Hag kind of had that problem. He started buying players specifically that he liked, but then the next manager wouldn't necessarily like them. So I think it's fair that they have to try and find some way to curb that, you know, to try to rein it in.
Yeah, I think there is an element of balance it needs, though, because it's a moving trend, isn't there, that clubs are now moving to their sporting director model.
Yeah.
Liverpool had done it before Klopp, where they had all these sporting directors, but then Klopp started to get successful when they hired him, so they started to give him power, and the sporting directors left. But then when Klopp then left, after his tenure at Liverpool, they came back, they rehired them, so now they're in charge again. So very few top Premier League clubs these days actually let the manager make decisions, it seems, and Maresca wasn't having it. You're not telling me who I'm putting in my team, and that's what you hire the manager for. It's like
kind of, yeah.
Well, I work in an education background, right? So it's like my manager's telling me how to teach a lesson. Well, you've hired me. I've trained and studied for years, and I've got experience. No, you've got to teach this way. Yeah. I wouldn't want to work in those conditions either. I don't blame Maresca.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think to an extent, you should be. I personally think that every club has the right to tell a manager, these are the players you've got, do what you can with them. Because I think in any line of business, that's what it is. A manager of an office doesn't suddenly go, right, I'm going to start hiring these people and I'm going to do it this way. No, you're not doing that. You're managing what we've given you. And then slowly there could be recommendations they make, and they might make changes. So I think to an extent, I think a manager should actually not have the kind of say that they've been constantly having, saying like, oh, I want this kind of player, so can you spend 100 million on them? I don't think they should necessarily have that power. There's a balance, I think, needed.
Yeah, exactly. It is that balance where it needs to be a collaboration, really, in my mind. But similar at United, shall we? Oh, God, here we go. So United decide to sack Amorim. And actually, before Dan gets into this, I want to rant. So
you're going to take away my ranting. You're going to take all my points.
Well, you might agree or disagree with this, Dan. United are a disgrace.
Oh wow!
As a club, that it's absolutely disgraceful what they've done for years and years and years. I've watched one of my dearest friends suffer for years and years and years, which was funny at first. Now I feel bad.
Is this pre-2013? Is it just the Fergie era you're ranting about?
Right. So. They hire Amorim, right? We'll go back a couple. What was it? How many months was he? 14 months or
14
something?
months, yeah.
So they hire Amorim, and everyone was saying at the time, 3-4-3 was his. That's what he plays at Sporting. That's the style he predominantly likes to use. No, we'll make that work. We're going to back him all the way and all of that. As it's come out since he's left, apparently, what's it? James Wilcox, is it? Who's the sporting director at United, has been apparently getting involved with Amorim, and they had a massive row before Amorim came out to that press conference and said what he said. And it's James Wilcox trying to shape who should be, you should change the style now and stuff like that is what's implied. That's what's kind of rumoured. So Amorim did go to a 4-4-2, started playing well. It looked like you won a game and you looked a bit more organised. Then he changed it back. I mean, for a start, why are you hiring these managers? So Jim Ratcliffe came in, he said, no, I want, what was it, a few years... was it last year he said he wanted to give him 3 years or something to back him?
Yeah,
Dan,
it was only a few months ago, wasn't it? Just a few months ago, yeah.
Just a few months ago, he said we want to back him for, give him 3 years, let him build and all that sort of stuff. And then they're trying to change his formation. Why would you let him build if it's just all contradictory? They're chopping and changing. They're flip-flopping, essentially. So Grimsby, obviously remember the Grimsby game with Amorim? That was shocking. He's playing with a tactics board on the pitch. Ultimately, was he out of his depth at United the whole time? You got the...
I feel as though this is the kind of rant. Did you just get the same rant that you had for Ten Hag? You just brushed it off and just changed the name from Ten Hag.
Like the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What just I don't get
anything associated with Man United, just fill in the name here and then just go on.
Yeah.
And you can edit and cut this down if you want and do what you want. But I just do want to rant. Pick the best bits out. But then against what was it? Leeds. You played basically a whole team of defenders, even though you've got youth players on the pitch on the bench. Part of the United tradition is always to bring the youth players in and that type of thing. Bring them on, play them. But no, it's Jim Ratcliffe, he backed Amorim and all that, and then suddenly he didn't. It's just absolute madness. So what I'm ranting, although I'm bringing out facts about Amorim, this whole rant is about Jim Ratcliffe and the leadership, the leader, the
board and everything.
Board,
I think that's fair
whatever
enough.
It is, the top.
I agree with that.
So although I'm ranting about Amorim, trust me, this is getting to Jim Ratcliffe, right? The problem...
Although I'm
so
talking
you're
about
just
Ten
using
Hag.
this to literally batter absolutely every single level of the football club, right?
Yeah, I'm going to batter everything. But the problem is it's the leadership.
Should we talk about all the players while we're at it as well, James? Should we do that as well? Batter all of them.
And look at Arsenal. I mean, the
perfect,
Invincibles,
aren't they?
Terrible.
Yeah.
So you bring Amorim in, you're back in this 3-4-3 formation. A few months ago, you said you're going to back him for 3 years. United are now 6th, which is the highest Amorim's been in his tenure at United, and then you sack him. What are the senior people at United even thinking? When he actually starts to get a bit of a tune out of the players, you then decide to sack him and put him under that kind of... You can see how unhappy Amorim was.
Yeah, I think he very much threw a grenade into the room when he had that press conference and quite deliberately misstated his position.
You say that, but it came out afterwards that he said that in the press conference because earlier that day, James Wilcox and him had a massive argument.
Yeah,
because James Wilcox admitted, I was reading the BBC article.
It doesn't change the facts of what I said. So he was appointed as a head coach, and he, in a press conference, stated himself as the manager. So that's you publicly going out there and going, I'm the head teacher of this school. Do you know what I mean? Your school is going to have an issue with that. You can't say that you're running the place when you're.
I think
not
James
in
does
that
do
position.
that though. He walks around going, "I'm the head teacher."
Yeah, actually, that's probably true. Yeah. So that didn't really give them much of a choice in that aspect.
Well, you don't have to sack a manager for that, do you? You could just have a word with them, and we don't know what happened behind the scenes in terms of what his contract was and that sort of stuff. But maybe head coach, fine. But if you are the head coach, you're still in charge, surely, of picking your players and who's going to play and what style you're going to play.
Yeah,
they
100%.
chose him on a 3-4-3.
I reckon though. This is the thing I mean about, to an extent, the club should have some sort of control over the manager or head coach or whatever you want to call them, because for the last 14 months, they've been watching their club play a formation that hasn't worked. And every time they win a game, it's this idea of, hey, maybe this is the turn. And then they go and lose against, or draw against Wolves, for example. Or something dreadful happens. I think to an extent, after a year of them seeing that, I don't think it's necessarily wrong for them to go, you know what? I think you're doing the wrong thing. Can we change it up? Yeah. Some sort of conversation. Instead of just saying, you know what? You've been doing one thing for the last 14 months and it hasn't worked. Maybe if you keep doing it, that's the definition of madness.
And the moments of Amorim with the tactics board at Grimsby, and when he did change the formation and it seemed to get a tune out of the players and then he changed it back. And there's a lot of questions you could raise for Amorim. But United wanted him for that style, and that was the thing. And all of those cost-cutting measures that Jim Ratcliffe, when he came in, the whole lunch thing, getting rid of all the free lunches for the staff and stuff like that, even though the players are earning God knows how much, every week, what their earnings are. They also got rid of that ex-player fund, didn't they?
Yeah, so the manager merry-go-round.
Yeah, what has this got to do with the manager merry-go-round?
Oh, sorry.
This is just...
the manager merry-go-round... The problem, what's increasing the turbulence of this merry-go-round and the speed, what's the word I'm looking for? The
merry-go-round.
The intensity. So what's making this merry-go-round go around with even more intensity is poor ownership, poor leadership of these clubs.
Yeah.
The fact that all these decisions made by Jim Ratcliffe and co. at United, for example, and obviously the board at Chelsea, Todd Bowley and his team. That's what's mad there.
Mike Ashley was a famous one, wasn't he? He got them relegated for what he did.
Yeah, why would you want to work under these people? The reason why the merry-go-round is getting worse and football is an absolute shambles.
It's all because of Manchester United. Anything bad that ever happens in football,
Eric Ten
all
Hag.
because of Man United.
I would say, actually, Man United aren't necessarily a problem when it comes to the merry-go-round, because United... To be fair to them, even though for the since 2013 you've done pretty badly, you guys have stuck with managers for a fairly decent time, longer than the average.
I'd say so.
Every single manager has been longer than the average.
You have to give
apart from Moyes.
I think you have to. I get what James is saying. You can't employ someone who says this is my system and this is the way I'm going to do it at the start, and then sack him for doing exactly what he said from the start of his tenure.
Yeah,
I get that, but they did stick by him in the worst season ever, Like we finished 16th or something? Was it 15th
14th
last season?
Yeah.
Whatever it was, that's horrendous. And they stuck with him. And they gave him more time. Where Postecoglou got sacked from Tottenham, so
for doing worse, really.
And yeah, exactly. So they did stick by him then, and then they've come out and publicly backed him, and they gave him money in the summer and all this stuff. So, but that obviously changed for whatever reason. Things change. The relationship changed. What I do think is important is this, as long as the problem with the manager merry-go-round, and this is what's the point of the actual episode, the manager merry-go-round, is the managers get scapegoated in this situation. And I kind of, and so I think maybe what James is getting at in this context is it's important that those people that make these decisions are also held accountable, not just sacking a manager, and these other people that are making footballing decisions having no accountability whatsoever. So for me, Jason Wilcox should have some accountability for making the decision to get rid of Ten Hag and bring in Amorim, and like really push for this when Dan Ashworth, who was the footballing director at the time, was against it, and that's why he was fired. He was like, Man United will never be able to play with the back five. I mean, he was right.
But I still think I still don't think Man United is a problem of the merry-go-round. Like Chelsea definitely are the kings of the manager merry-go-round.
Yeah,
so we can talk about their board.
And
you've got clubs like West Ham, for example. West Ham decided to sack a manager who actually won them a trophy in Moyes, and then they're going, you know what? We've bought no decent player, and we're doing worse. We don't know what's going on, and they've got a manager merry-go-round going on.
That's the scapegoat going on there,
and
well.
That's the scapegoat again. The people at the head, they don't. The people at the top don't move, but equally they don't budge, and they don't offer any kind of support to the new person coming in for them to do a job well. They just expect someone to come in with like some magic wand and just go, oh, it's all better now. And when it isn't, they're like, why haven't you made it better? Well, you can go
we'll just get another manager that can. But that's not the problem. I think ownership is a big problem. I think also this idea that you can just get a manager at any point, I think that's also a problem.
It's short-termism. So
it's very short-termism.
Again, it links to, which is a strategy, by the way. Some businesses and organisations, that's their strategy. Focus on short-termism, we'll focus on the here and now. And that case, Chelsea actually won a lot of trophies by a very short-termist approach with all their manager changes. And they just threw so much money at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to know what their books looked like in the end. I mean, it started to come out in more recent years that they were playing around with them a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, you spend enough money on it, eventually that sort of strategy can work. But Nottingham Forest as well, same thing. Owner is absolutely crazy. How he got rid of Nuno, brought Ange in, then sacked him after how many days was it?
Ange was like 31 days,
31 days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So this manager merry-go-round.
I've got yoghurt that lasted longer than him.
This manager merry-go-round is a huge fault because of the owners. It's the poor ownership of football clubs these days for me. That's the biggest problem.
But it's also the system that allows them to do that. That's one problem I have. You've got owners, like ownership takes ages to change. Players, you've got specific transfer windows to change. Managers, why is it that you've got this open reign to just sack and hire whenever?
That's true. Also, there's no accountability or
media coverage is so uneducated on anything beyond a manager because their dialogues that are with the managers after the game on the touchline or whatever, but you never hear anyone really criticise a footballing director. Like, I couldn't tell you all the names of all the footballing directors in the Premier League because the faces are the managers and they're the ones that get all of the stick. And then what happens is all of the fans then blame the face of the club, who is the manager. So then there's pressure on the fans to get rid of a manager when really they're not really understanding who's making the decisions. They don't know what's going on. The pressure should be on maybe other people, but they get away with it because they're not in the media.
Yeah, they're not the face of it. It's the same as it's all aspects, isn't it? We always have a go at Arteta about the injury rate in Arsenal because we just say, oh, Arteta just like burns out all of his best players. But then again, he's the face of it. Well, we don't know anything about. Only the diehard Arsenal fans might know, but the rest of us don't know anything about what kind of recovery therapists do they have, what kind of technology is in the background. Yeah. But it's easy for us to say, well, it's Arteta's fault for burning out his players.
The manager's front of house, isn't he? So he gets all of the attention, whereas it's actually in the back room, which we need to be at, or the boardroom is basically where we want to be asking. Well, this is for the sake of football, this is a huge problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
But before we get onto the fixes, shall we do a halftime head scratcher?
Good idea.
Hello there. For this week's halftime head scratcher, I want to ask you, who has the most red cards in Premier League history? Find out the answer after the break. Before the break, I asked you, who has the most red cards in Premier League history? The answer is Patrick Vieira with 8. Sorry, James. Arsenal aren't quite so great, are they?
Thanks for that, Dan. Not a bad one at all. Right, before we can move forward, though, guys, I think we need a bit of logic that we've missed in recent episodes.
We've really missed logic and sense in this, haven't we?
Yeah. So why don't you bring some of your sense and non-sensibility?
Not to carry on with the Man United battering, but I do want to mention something about Man United when it comes to logic. Because for the last 14 months, we've been looking at the 3-4-3 formation, and everyone's been saying it doesn't work. They haven't got the right players for the system, and the manager seems to be overwhelmed in the Premier League using this system. And so in these people saying they want Amorim out, I've heard a lot of people say what they should do is get Glasner in because he's able to work with a 3-4-3. What I don't quite understand is, if we're all agreed that the formation doesn't work and they haven't got the right players for the formation, why do they want a manager that can get that formation right? Because surely, once again, the formation is the problem and the players are the problem. So instead of trying to find a manager that can work well with the players they've got, people are trying to find a manager that will work with the 3-4-3 formation that they've already agreed doesn't work. And to me, that makes no sense. And that is my sense and non-sensibility.
Right, so how are we going to fix this manager merry-go-round then, boys? Actually, can I go first?
I'll allow it.
You'll allow it?
Yeah.
Ownership. I want to talk about ownership is the problem, right? And Man United.
Oh, God.
So, Man United are an example.
Surprise.
Yeah. One thing that Man United and Chelsea have in common in this respect, as do Nottingham Forest, as do West Ham, is it's the ownership. And what they need to do is look at the clubs that are actually more successful in the league. Look at Brighton, look at Brentford.
I thought you were going to say another club there.
Yeah, I was expecting to hear.
And what do you see? You see a very sensible approach where they have a clear structure, philosophy, how they make decisions. The manager's given some freedom. They know exactly what they need to do. There's not as much involvement in terms of team selection and that. That's what you hire the coach for. That's the specialist person.
Okay.
So it comes down to the ownership, where the Premier League, I think, needs to have regulations to actually say that.
So they need to step back. You mean
essentially step back in a philosophical sense, but also a regulatory one as well. So they're not allowed to interfere with the manager's role. That needs to be built into the contract. And when it's written in the contract, it's agreed, it's signed, and everyone has to keep to their roles, essentially.
Okay. Well, my fix is actually that I think it's kind of the opposite.
Right.
You're saying they need to take a step back, but I was saying one of the problems is that I think the owners should have the right to kind of curb what the managers are doing. It's their money, after all. The managers don't put their hands in their pockets to buy these players. And if the managers aren't successful, they get sacked and get given 5 million to leave. Whereas the owners are left with a club that is struggling. So I think to an extent, it's kind of the opposite. The owners should be allowed to have some sort of curbing of what the managers do. However, I think I agree with some form of governance, basically, overall governance. And I think the problem is to do with the transfer windows. I mentioned before that owners, it takes ages to change ownerships. Players, they have certain windows, 2 windows a season, basically, where you're allowed to change players. Managers, you can hire and sack whenever. And I think they should be hired and sacked in the transfer window, because that means a manager has a minimum of half a season to get things right. If you have a manager that gets hired and then after 3 months it's like, well, this isn't working, we'll sack him, maybe it would have worked right, because there's so many. I mean, look at Arteta for Arsenal. Ending the first season in 8th, should they have sacked him? No, because look at where you guys are now. I think every manager should be given the right to have enough time to get things right. And if they don't get it right after half a season, then the owners were at fault for getting the wrong person. Plymouth were rightfully punished, basically, for hiring Wayne Rooney. They should have known.
I said this at the time, if you remember when they hired him, that he is a useless manager.
Yeah, but that's because it's Wayne Rooney. You would have said that even if he was the most successful manager.
Yeah. Also, I've got family from Plymouth, and it hurt me to feel that they're hiring some incompetent manager to go. And I just knew it was going to be a disaster.
Yeah, as a player, he was better than Dennis Bergkamp, but as a manager, he struggled, and it was the wrong thing for Plymouth.
I'll allow that, even though it's not true.
Yeah, so my fix, I think, is that managers should be hired and sacked in the transfer window, same as players, because then that'll give managers a minimum time to get it right, and that'll make owners think twice before just randomly hiring someone, thinking, oh yeah, we'll get Wayne Rooney for Birmingham because he's a big name.
Can I fix your fix?
Go for it.
I do agree that...
Oh, brilliant. Well, Dan, do you have a fix?
Yeah.
I do agree that managers need to be given time.
Yeah.
And I also think that they shouldn't be allowed to get sacked mid-season, because that affects the integrity of the league. Because one team might say Arsenal are playing Nottingham Forest and the manager's not doing very well, we rip them to shreds and win the game. They then get a new manager in and changes the team and the way they play and stuff, and suddenly they're much better.
Yeah.
And that compromises the quality of the league, the integrity of the league, because they're performing differently each time just because of a new manager, a new style, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think it should be at least a year. So even the January window is off.
Okay. So you're saying my fix isn't enough?
It's not enough. It's not
okay.
strong enough. If it's going to be like that, there should be a restriction that they're a minimum of 12 months. The owners have to then... It teaches them to have to take more care in their selection process.
That's what I mean, see? It's kind of a form of governance there, because it makes them have to think twice before actually settling on a certain manager, on a certain style or whatever.
Yeah. And I think there should be an extra fee they have to pay, which goes to the pyramid of football, so it goes down to the lower leagues, so it goes into the FA, essentially. If you want to sack a manager at the end of that 12 months, prior to the rest of their contract being completed, so if it's earlier than that, then there's a kind of a fee, a tax, if you like, to doing so. So that, again, will make owners take more care over their choice.
Yeah. Dan, what about you?
Well, actually, mine is more in line with media coverage. So I think that if these boards want all of this additional control and responsibility, that's fine, but they should be accountable for the job and the role that they do in the same way a manager does. So I think that, for example, you see in pre-match like build-up and stuff, you always have an interview with the manager in like a nice comfy room or whatever, and then they talk to the manager before the game, and then they talk to the manager after the game. Why don't they interview different people rather than us just seeing from the manager every time? Why don't they have a sit-down chat with the football director? Why isn't the press conference with another footballing person? All of these people, I think, should have media responsibilities, not just the manager. So if you want a head coach that is only involved in the match day, essentially, that's where it's got his key control is on match day. He's on the bench, he's doing all the thing, making those decisions. Then he can do the pre-match and post-match interviews. Outside of that, if you want to get involved in the coaching decisions, if you want to get involved in the style of play, blah, 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 you do the media duties for other elements in between games.
I'm not sure how much after an Everton game say, we lost against Sunderland on penalties today, I'm not sure how much I'd want to hear from the masseuse.
no. So on game day is what I mean is on game day.
Hear from the masseuse on game
manager.
Day. Right.
No. Manager on game day. Manager on game day. But where they do all the other additional interviews and the conferences and the meetings, and everything else, and so you've got like a VT of someone sat down with the manager, and then they literally 5 seconds later go and talk to the manager on the side of the pitch before he goes out. It's a bit of an overkill on speaking to the manager, isn't it? You've got an opportunity there to speak to multiple people. So talk to manager on
Dave,
game day.
the kick guy, what do you think the tactics should be?
Yeah.
I want the sporting directors to answer and the owners
that's
to
what
answer
I mean.
for their actions, essentially.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Have sit-downs with ownership and so that all these people, if you want to make those decisions, you be accountable for those decisions in the public eye. So that the pressure.
Of course, I agree. Of course, I jest because I'm just a funny guy.
Because that's just you.
Yeah, exactly. But I agree with you, Dan. As I always do.
The idea is that the public pressure is then on multiple places, and it's not always just eyes on the manager, because that's what eventually gets the manager the boot, is when the fans turn against him. So if the fans are seeing more than just one person, the fans could turn against anyone rather than just that one man, because if they're only ever seeing one man, they're only going to turn against that one man.
Yeah,
you see what
definitely.
I mean? And so the pressure from fans should be on all of them, and I think better media coverage of other positions would help that.
Yeah, I think Arsenal desperately want to have the free kick coach or the throw-in coach or
set
whatever.
Set piece coach in that,
yeah, the set piece coach to be
Nicholas Jova.
Yeah, I think they would love that. They just go.
I'd love to hear him speak. Yeah, he's a genius.
Yeah, you won't be hearing from Mikel Arteta today, Mr. Set Piece, whatever his name was.
I genuinely think that Nicholas Jova, that would be genuinely quite insightful. We'd learn more things, I think, rather than just a political answer. So. I want to learn more about set pieces. We thought we could punish them by putting people at the back post like this, and that would be insightful. We'd learn tactically more things. So I think that could be educational as well.
I think it's the same as this podcast. We like to hear the opinions of the lower people, like James, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why we have him on. It's so, yeah.
And I think some fans do actually know that the owners are to blame. I think West Ham, for example, they've been campaigning to get their owners out. They want their owners out.
Yeah, but they blame everyone. They blamed Moyes, but even though he won them a trophy.
Yeah. They definitely thought, well, some of them anyway, seemed to think the grass would be greener if he left.
Yeah,
but actually,
I think that's the same for a lot of clubs, though. I mean, Everton and United, we blamed both the owners and the managers, didn't we? In equal measure, we would say that we need a new manager. However, it's rotten from the top, and so I think all clubs that are really struggling, to an extent, they blame the owners as well.
Ultimately, in football, for a team to win, another team has to lose. That's not always the manager's fault. There's so many variables in football. For every team that wins a trophy, there's another team that gets relegated. There's always it's not always the manager's fault. You could put as much money in as you want. What it needs is sensible owners to spend a sensible amount of money. We've said on previous episodes there needs to be regulation on spending. That needs to be levelled and that kind of thing. I think we need more regulation on ownership. Can I say, our league has been hotting up. It's been amazing. There's been so much turnaround at the top.
Do you mean as in you're doing better now? That's what you mean?
Maybe. I have been doing better. I did drop into the top 10. I've been hitting around that, which is excellent, as we all know. But also, our guru, John, he did, at the end of the last game week, eventually end up on top.
That means we don't have to sack John, but if we wanted to, we'd have to wait till the end of the season, going by our rule, right?
No. I think
we'll do it anyway.
I'm not having incompetence.
That's true.
Giving tips to. We've got a vital role in our job. We're different. Yeah. We're here to fix football. We can't be giving bad advice.
So as soon as he drops down one more place, he's gone.
Yeah, and we're not going to give him a 10 million, redundancy package or something.
No. But yeah, John's currently sitting in second. It's obviously FA Cup weekend just gone, so that won't change for the time being. We've got Patrick Finney back on top with Hybrid United, so Well done, Patrick. And if you want to join our league and show off your true ball knowledge and see if you can top our league and get a shout out on an episode, you can join by entering the code SD4GZV and see if you have what it takes. Well, there we are, lads. I think what we really want is ownership of football clubs to be like the ownership on this podcast. I mean, we have harmony. We know the authority ladder. We know you guys have to listen and follow orders, and it works perfectly.
And we just said we need to curb the ownership as well, didn't we? So the people that think they're in power, like James, need to really be stopped so that other people can speak.
Yeah, I think James, Jim, same name.
Yeah, that's true. Don't set him off. Don't mention it.
United. The thing is, when I hired you guys, I thought, well, you're a top talent. I wanted to bring your style to my podcast, and I want to commit to giving you 3 years. So as things stand, I'm going to stand by that commitment as a responsible owner. So, but we'll see what it's like.
Don't say that, Jim. Don't say that, Jim.
That's surgeon to you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great week, and we will see you next time. It's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.